gratitude looks just a little bit different after you turn 50 years old. I can say that because I've turned 50 years old a few years ago. I have been noticing this week as I've been reflecting on gratitude and the things that I'm thankful for, which is pretty common at this time of year with Thanksgiving here in the States. And just the harvest in general. There's just a lot to be thankful for in that kind of way. But I'm looking at things a little bit differently through this lens of 50 years old, and I thought I would share some of my thoughts about that. So the first one that we all say we're thankful for, and I think we all are to at least some extent, is friends and family. But I think that looks a little different as you get a little bit further along in life. Grateful for my friends, grateful for my family, but it looks a little different now. It's not just a blanket, I'm grateful for everybody. I really look at that. I have to think about, what is it that I'm grateful for? Some people in my life I'm grateful for just because of who they are. And no matter what they do, no matter how things change between us, I will always be grateful to have had people in my life that were special to me. Seasons change, times in life change. Sometimes people grow distant, sometimes people have conflict, sometimes there's distractions of life that get in the way, and relationships change over time. But that doesn't mean I can't be grateful for people. But the gratitude that I feel now, most especially, is for the people that have decided to stay in my life and be a part of my life right now, that I get to reciprocate and be a part of their life. So I've got some really good friends that come over fairly regularly. We stay in contact on the phone, we help each other with projects, we travel every once in a while. So there's lots of things like that you get to just maintain those friendships. And then there's also family members that have I have been able to lean on like you would not believe, and they've just been there for me. It's been a rough few years, ever since about 2020, but I think that there's a lot of people that have really shown me that they're grateful for me in their lives, because they show that by showing up for me. And since they've shown up for me, and then I get the chance to reciprocate that and show up for them, so it just kind of looks different when you get to this point in life. But I am grateful for all of those people. Very, very grateful for the people that have come and helped me with so many different things over the last few years. And I would love for them all to know that. The second thing that I'm grateful for is work. And I'm not just talking about work 9 to 5, punch the clock. I'm talking about meaningful work. I have got a pretty unique perspective on that as a nurse. I have done a lot of meaningful work in my career. Helped a lot of people, felt a lot of different big feelings with a lot of different families. Some of those for the better, some of those not so great. But it does make you have a different perspective on life. And it lets me know that my gratitude for just the ability to have that meaningful work, to know that there's something that I'm giving back into the world when I do things. It's not just about myself. So even when I'm out here working in the greenhouse or in my garden, it's meaningful because it gives my life meaning, and it gives meaning to other people. So I have spaces that people can come into and enjoy my yard and my garden with me. I have produce and herbs and flowers that I'll be able to share. So I mean, there's a lot to be looking at for meaning in my life right now, and I'm grateful for that in a way that's very different from maybe when I was in my 20s. The next one is tools that make life easier, and that is very definitely coming in handy right now. I am very grateful for things like this bench that my daughter got me for my birthday, so that I can sit out here in the greenhouse. I can take it in the garden, be able to reach things and not strain myself trying to bend up and down. Got a little weeding tool that you just step on so I don't have to bend down. And then I've got things like my lovely helper here, my cane. And as much as I don't like this cane, I love this cane because I wouldn't be going very far without it. The very fact that I made my garden's raised beds, my bricked gardens out there that my family helped me make, those are making it possible for me to do the things that I love a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more involved than what I would have been able to do otherwise. And there's a level of gratitude that comes for that when you realize that maybe you can't do the things that you wish that you could quite the same way that you used to be able to do them, but you can still do them. It's just different. The next thing that I'm grateful for is time for grounding. And the way that I'm looking at that is being present. I think I've always taken time to reflect and think about things, but I never really put the effort into being present quite the same as what I'm doing now. I've had some big changes in life over the last few years, some events in our family and in my personal medical history that have made it so I've really had to evaluate, what's important, what do I need to spend my time on, my thoughts, my worries, my concerns, and just to be grateful for the things that I've been given over my lifetime. It's just a different perspective at this point, and I'm just very grateful for that ability to be present, for the ability to just sit here and spend some time with you and enjoy my garden, look at my flowers, enjoy my citrus trees, all of the things that I may have just taken for granted before, but now I enjoy this time just sitting here and being present with you and with my surroundings. Another thing that is a chance to be grateful for in a different way at this point in life is second chances. So there's lots of things in life I wish I could do over, but obviously we know that can't be done. And truthfully, I'm not so sure that I really would want to do them over. Not in that way. Because it changes the way that your life turns out. And sometimes that might be for the better, but sometimes that might be for the worse. And the things that I've gone through and the things that I've done, the things that I've experienced, both good and bad, have shaped me into the person I am today. And I have to say I'm pretty okay with that person. I think I'm doing okay. There's still room for growth, always room for growth. But what I'm talking about for second chances is that when I make a mistake or when something doesn't go the way that I would like it to go, I can do it again. I can try over, I can talk to people again, I can do a great many things to change the future. But I don't really know that I would want to ever change the past. Not entirely. Like, for instance, I grew spinach this year, and it didn't turn out at all. It was awful. It didn't grow for anything. But my peas are great. Got a lot of tomatoes, a lot of squash, a lot of spinach, tons of herbs and flowers. Not so great on the cabbages this year. I'm hoping for the fall ones to still do okay, but my spring ones, I maybe got a couple, Like kohlrabi, I still cannot get kohlrabi to grow. That just drives me crazy. But someday, keep trying. Those second chances keep coming, and they turn into third, fourth, fifth chances. Hopefully one of them will work. But that's what I mean when I say I'm grateful for second chances. The next thing that I think about is unique experiences. So I have traveled a lot in my life. I have done things that I would never have thought to do. Enjoyed a lot of things that have come my way just because we took advantage of a unique opportunity. Enjoying a lot the stuff that's popping up on Facebook for like ideas for events. We've gone to a couple of those that are really great. We went to see some Edgar Allan Poe show. We went to see a circus that popped up. Just all kinds of things. And the circus that we went and saw was really kind of interesting because it was all just people performing. There were no animals. There were no nothing different, like mechanical wise. It was just all people and props and things. So it was very interesting. It was almost like an acrobatic show. But I would never have thought to do that if it hadn't popped up in front of me and come to my attention. So the other unique experience that I try to do every year, that I purposefully do, is to grow something different in my garden. I have to have my tomatoes, I have to have my peppers, I have to have all the salad things. Every year I try to grow all of those. But I also try to grow something unique and different and fun. So Kiwani melons, cucamelons. This year my loofah gourds did really well. It's just going to be a little bit fun to watch something different grow. The next thing that I'm thankful for in a different way is the changing of the seasons. Never really thought about that a whole lot as I was growing up, other than to just kind of keep planning for the next thing. But the way that I'm grateful for that now that I'm over 50 is I look forward to spring, because it's beautiful, it's warm, there's so much to be done, but it's a lot of work. Ooh. And it's wet and it's rainy. There's a lot that goes into spring. But I can look forward to summer, because summer is just warm and beautiful and lots of things come into the garden that I get to enjoy. But again, it's a lot of work. The rain kind of dries up. I have to water more. I will risk losing crops to bugs. It starts to get too hot. About the time that I'm about tired of that, here it's fall. And in the fall, I get to slow down a little bit, but I still have a lot to do because of the fall gardening things and just things that happen in life. And then winter comes. And in winter, it's definitely more of a restful period all the way around. But my work life ramps up. I usually do a lot more work in the winter for my job. I cover holidays for people. I cover, illnesses for other nurses that are out sick. The kids that I take care of tend to get a little bit more ill in the winter and the spring months than they do the rest of the year. So I feel like I've got more going on at work in that time of year. But I'm grateful for those changing seasons, because I don't think I would want to live somewhere where it was always the same. Never having done it, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure. The next thing that I find gratefulness that looks a little different is abundance in the face of lack. I can say that pretty confidently right now, because this time in life right now, this 2020 to 2025 has just been a roller coaster. The groceries have been all over the place. The things that we have and that we don't have, you get used to doing things with less, doing things with different things. It's just been strange in a lot of ways, but it makes me feel that abundance that I wouldn't normally feel when I'm being thrown all of these ideas of lack. I can choose to live in lack if I want to, but I don't think that that's a good idea. I think it's better to see the abundance. When I have my garden, I plant one seed, I get hundreds of tomatoes. I plant one seed, I get dozens and dozens and dozens of peppers. It just depends how you look at it. And then I also get to look at, like, I may not be able to get seeds next year. That's not probably going to happen, but you never know. But I have a whole stash of seeds that I have saved from my own garden, and a bunch that I've saved from years past, because they're either going to grow or they're not. I can just try, and something's going to grow. So there's a different way of looking at that as you get a little further in life, and I'm feeling like I'm seeing that. And along those same lines, resourcefulness. I'm grateful for the sense of resourcefulness that's been instilled in me since I was very young. We did not have a whole lot growing up. I come from a little different background. And we learned to use the things we had. We learned to make do. We learned to substitute. Learn to, get by with hand-me-downs and the things that aren't quite as up to date as what everyone else had. But I also am still doing that to this day. I love a thrift store. There is just nothing better than a thrift store. That's like an adventure to me. I like to reuse the things that I've already got. So if I've got something that I want to build in my yard, I look around to see what I can find that I already have to build it with. The bricks for my garden, we got those free off of Craigslist back in 2020 and 2021. All we had to do was load them up on the trailer. And then later on, we did find a really good deal and buy some more bricks. But the starting point, it was stuff we had that we just got for a little or nothing. And I've found lots of things that way. Reusing buckets, reusing water bottles, reusing all kinds of things. I think you look at that a little differently as you get through different parts of life where you've had to live with less than what you would have preferred. And I just think it's kind of a neat way to be creative as well. The next thing that I find gratitude in that looks a little different than the gratitude I may have not had for it in the past. That sounds weird, but routine. When I was younger, I thought that was awful. It's boring. I don't want to do the same routine. And now I'm grateful for my routine. I'm grateful that I get off of work and I spend my first few minutes out in the garden and I look around at everything. Even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just looking around to see what needs done. I'm grateful that I have a regular routine for work for the most part, and I know kind of what to expect. I think that there's a steadiness that I've enjoyed from that I wouldn't have necessarily enjoyed the same when I was younger. Over 50, I really like the idea of routine. And I also, surprisingly, enjoy the messy moments. Who would have thought you'd be grateful for the messy moments? I have got some wonderful memories that are very messy. My granddaughter helped me out in the garden, decorating in between the little patio stones with some rocks, and we had mortar out there, and we were a mess by the time we were done. She helped me dig potatoes and learn where her food comes from, and those were wonderful memories that I hold very dear. The kids coming over and helping me build my gardens, oh, we were a hot mess, let me tell you. That was hot out, it was sweaty, muddy. It's just not necessarily a clean thing to build a garden. All the other different things that we've built in the yard, the fire pit, the pond, I've had help with all those things. Believe me, the other messy moments for that is when the dogs get into things. So Jake getting through my garden and knocking things over, I don't love that. But it makes me realize that he's a unique individual too. I don't love it when he falls in my pond, or nowadays runs through my pond because he thinks he can. Not the greatest idea. It comes out muddy and wet and it's getting cold. I notice he does it less and less, but I don't see that changing because he's an individual and he's stubborn because he's got some bulldog in him, and I think it took. Oh, but those messy moments, I wouldn't have thought to be thankful for those. Not as much anyway, when I was in the early stages of life raising my kids and just going through the day-to-day. Those were inconveniences back then. And now they're opportunities for reflection and for enjoyment and for just appreciating the way that life is. So I think that's a nice way to look at those messy moments a little differently. And lastly, I think when I look at how gratitude has shaped us differently in our 50s, it's that growth. I'm grateful for growth. I'm grateful for the opportunity to still be growing at 50s. Who would have thought? We think we're done being a grown-up when we get the kids raised and that things are pretty much leveled out. Well, guess what? They're not. Not unless you really want them to be. I learn something new almost every day. I plant something new. I try a new experiment out in my garden. Experiments in my greenhouse right now back here. And on top of that, I try to grow myself as a person. Lots of reading to do, lots of people to listen to on podcasts and YouTube videos. And that's one thing that I'm doing this right now is a growing and learning experience for me. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to do that because I never would have thought that I would be doing this, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. It just wouldn't have felt right or safe. And there's things about it that are still a little scary. But I think that that's an opportunity for me to grow myself as a person. To put myself out in the world and share who I am and pass down things that I'm thinking about for other people. I think that we all can benefit from those different opportunities for growth and for sharing. So I just want to thank you for listening to me go on and on about the things I'm thankful for, and that includes you. Even if we haven't ever met in person, it's still a connection out there, I think. And that's another thing to be grateful for, because we need all the connections we can get. So I will hopefully see you again next time. And if you have any ideas for me or thoughts that you want to share, pass them on down in the comments. And have a great Thanksgiving.